Op de meest recente editie van de Thinkers 50, de lijst met belangrijke zakelijke denkers, stond hij nummer 1. Zijn expertise is strategie. Wat moeten bedrijven nu doen om straks in de toekomst ook concurrerend te kunnen zijn? En deze in India geboren Amerikaan wil nog een gigantisch probleem oplossen. Hij wil de armoede de wereld uitkrijgen door met de allerarmste zaken te doen. Recentelijk was hij in Nederland en spraken we met hem hier op de Nijrode Business University in Breukelen. C.K. Prahalad. Mr. Prahalad, the last time we spoke, 4 years ago, your book, The Future of Competition, had just come out. And at the time you predicted that the relationship between producer and consumer would change radically, fundamentally. It has happened, hasn't it?
Yes, and I think maybe faster than I thought. And I think the emergence of new tools, be it proliferation of connectivity through cell phones and PCs, digitization, and certainly the emergence of social networks like Facebook, which is only 2 years old, that has fundamentally changed the way people now come together, ability for them to be activists, ability for them to participate in ways that we could not have imagined even 6-7 years ago. The only good thing that I feel is future of competition predicted this will happen. Of course, like everything else, we were not right on the money in terms of timing, but neither could we have anticipated Facebook. But the fact that this will happen was very clear. So I'm sort of happy that at least we got that right.
That part right. Well, it's not an important part because you said at the time it'll be about communal experiences. A consumer and a producer together will create a new experience.
I think sometimes people do not understand the real meaning of co-creation. We coined the term co-creation because it is neither the company or the consumer can independently do it. There are two problem solvers jointly creating value and jointly extracting value. And that I think is key. The second part is it's not just individual consumers, but what we termed thematic communities. That is, communities that come together based on common interests rather than a locational community. In other words, it's not all people living in village X. It's all people around the world who have a common interest.
What are some examples of where those kind of communities have come together and influenced producers and vice versa? What are some of the companies or the products who really have understood this well?
Increasingly, I think the financial services industry is going towards creating a personalized, co-created portfolio for individual consumers because everybody knows what the rates are. Everybody knows what the mortgage rates are.
You can just check it on the internet.
And it's public information. If you try to compete on it, it's a non-starter. Mm-hmm. So you have to do something different. And I think that is happening very, very fast. It's happening in the movie industry. It is happening in the auto industry. You're not allowing people to go and change the transmission and the engine combination. That's not what co-creation is about. But you can create as much of things around the car, including the look and the feel of the car. It's happening in the shoe industry.
In the shoe industry?
Yes. Nike will allow you to personalize, put your own signature, and put your own message if you want.
It's funny because a couple of years ago when I was looking up on internet stuff about the new car I wanted to buy, there was one of those things where you could, choose the color of the outside and of the furniture inside the car and all that stuff. And I was thinking about you because that's the kind of stuff you had predicted 4 years ago.
That's
you
right.
said,
it's happening routinely now.
Yeah.
In other words, if you don't do it, you don't sell anything. Actually, now I am asking myself, what is the next round? And I have a new book coming in April. It's called The New Age of Innovation. And the basic core thesis is we are moving to a world where one consumer at a time with a personalized, co-created experience. But funnily enough, in order to satisfy that one consumer, companies may have to go and access resources from a very large number of vendors. And if you think about it for a minute, it is a 180-degree opposite of Henry Ford and Model T.
And any color as long as it's black.
That's right. Model T was an undifferentiated consumer and totally vertically integrated. So you had all the resources and you had an undifferentiated product. Now we are flipping it and saying one consumer at a time, but you don't control all the resources. You may source it from a wide variety of people. So the theme of the book is N equal to 1. That means one consumer experience at a time. And R equal to G. R is resources, could be global.
But that is going to be, it's going to require a completely different way of thinking for companies.
But let us take Google for an example. It's very interesting. I can create my own page in Google. I can take news of soccer from XYZ. I can take political news. I can take science news from different places. I can have maps from a different place. But if you think about Google, it doesn't produce any content. The content comes from thousands of people, individuals, institutions, and so they become the aggregators of all this for one person like me. And they may have 100 million consumers. So if you look at Google, if you look at eBay, if you look at Amazon, if you look at Apple.
The first three are virtually virtual companies. Apple is actually, it produces stuff. How do they do that?
Take, for example, Apple iPhone or iPod and iTunes. They don't produce it. They design it. The display is made by Matsushita or Toshiba. The semiconductors inside are made by Samsung. It is manufactured by a Taiwanese company in China. So if you go back and look at an iPod or iPhone, at the back they say, designed in California. They don't say anything more. And the music, they don't produce.
That's right.
So if you look at it, resources are coming from a large number of suppliers with whom they have privileged access. But it's one person at a time. Each person can use that platform to design the music that they want to hear. So what innovation is becoming today is how to build experience platforms that allow each individual to create their own experience on that platform.
But this does not go for all kinds of products, does it? I mean, a soft drink or what have you, something rather more simple than...
We want to take a very strange example. Take tires.
Tires. I don't need to have personalized tires. I just take the tires they offer
but I can do something different for you. Traditional way of selling tires is I sell a tire, it's a transaction. You look at the price and maybe sometimes you worry about quality, but all of them make the same quality more or less. A Michelin may be a little bit better than Bridgestone. You can debate that till the cows come home.
That's right.
But it's based on price. Now I can come and make a deal with you. I said, don't buy my tire. Only pay per usage.
What, pay per mile? Pay what?
Pay per mile or pay per kilometer, I should say here. And I will put sensors in your tire. And I will measure how many miles you drive. And if you drive, you pay. If you don't drive, you don't. But more interestingly, I can also give you feedback. If your driving habits are such, you're wearing out your tires more, I can send you a text message and say, you would save a ton of money if you could only drive this way.
Drive slower, or it's time to inflate your tires a little.
Rotate your tires. So I become your friend. Rather than having a transaction once in 2 years, I have a daily relationship with you. I have a lot more information on how to develop products because I know how people really drive. Rather than doing focus groups, I have real data coming to me all the time. The reason why companies don't do this is the technology exists, but then you have to create a whole new infrastructure of micro billing, data mining.
That's right.
To be able to understand the behavior of one person out of 50 million. That means you need fundamentally new analytical tools. And that's the reason why people are hesitant to do it. But it's going to happen anyway.
Let's talk a little bit about the bottom of the pyramid, because I found it very interesting. You say, basically, if I may try to wrap it up in a small conclusion, you say you can actually work on getting rid of poverty in the world by doing business with the poorest people in the world, with the bottom of the pyramid. Explain that to me. How, if I were a Western company, how could I make money or how could I help alleviate poverty by doing business with them?
I think, take for example, a European company. I think it's a good thing always to start with a company that everybody is familiar with, Unilever. I'm not giving any information that is not public. The recent Economist had an article on Unilever, 3 pages long. It's all about emerging markets. 44% of Unilever sales is already coming from emerging markets. They expect it to go to 50% plus. So 50% of this mega company is coming from emerging markets. And most of the people in emerging markets are bottom of the pyramid folks. Take, for example, India. Unilever India is very strong, very well-run company. But 60 to 70% of what they sell to what we would consider poor people, people living on $2, around $2 or $3 a day.
But what can I sell if I'm Unilever to somebody who makes $3 a day?
Everything, from shampoo to soap to detergents to water, everything. Everything that they do, they can sell. And the reason they can sell is you develop a different business model. Instead of selling a big bottle of shampoo, make it easy for people to buy by selling it in a sachet, which is a single serve. So it sells for 1 cent at retail. Different manufacturing, different packaging, different distribution models. But it is very profitable. The individual margins may be low, but the volume is where the game is. So instead of looking at margins by product or by unit, you look at volume times margin. That's where the action is. And the capital intensity of these businesses are low. Therefore, you can make huge amounts of profit. The whole point is, it's a very simple idea. If you take perspective 1 step back, what are we saying? All large companies have tried to grow. They find it hard. There are 5 billion people below the radar screen of large companies. Even if you convert 3 billion into active consumers, it will be the largest unprecedented growth opportunity. So the question that we should ask as managers is not whether I can serve them with my existing products and cost structures, but if I want to develop that market, what product and services and at what price levels should I compete? I look at the bottom of the pyramid as a source of innovation, as a source of fundamentally creating new business models, and at the same time, profitable business opportunities. And you create opportunities for these people to consume goods and products and services that are quite interesting, and at the same time, increase their incomes. So both are possible. You increase consumption, you increase income. So think of them as micro producers and micro consumers.
From whom we can learn actually a lot.
As well.
Okay. Mr. Prahalad, I want to thank you very much for making the time to sit down with.
Thank you. Happy to be here.